My name is David Hopper. Welcome back as we continue on a series of videos that help you launch new churches, new ministries, or whatever it is you're trying to launch. And we use the alphabet A to Z, each one representing a different part of the launch process. So this video is all about E, the evangelism strategy. What is your strategy to reach people? Now, evangelism, this word, I love this word. It means zealous advocacy of a cause. Do you have a zealous advocacy of a cause? I mean, shouldn't we all have this type of drive about whatever it is that we're doing or launching? That's how I want to live my life. The key to being able to write this is to know the people you're trying to reach. You need to know who you're trying to reach. When we launched new churches, and still do, we always start with a ministry area profile of the county or the city, wherever it is that the church will be located. And I will put that on the bottom of the screen so you can go check out exactly what that looks like. But when we would get this product, what we'd end up with is about 200 pages of information on the area we were trying to reach. We would know how many families are in this area, how many single people are in this area, what was their highest level of education, their financial averages of an area, who liked fruit versus vegetables, who were Raiders fans versus 49ers fans, because there really is a big difference in those two types of people, right? I'm just kidding. Just kidding about all that last part. But so on and so forth, you understand. We would make sure that when we talked about an area, we had an evangelism strategy that was based on actual data of the people we were trying to reach. As we launch these new things, whatever it is you're launching, homework assignment number 1, what's the data? What's the data about who you're trying to reach with this new adventure? You've got to know who you're trying to reach. Once you have this data, now you come up with a plan. Okay? Without data, your plan is just this abstract thought you have in your head. And that sometimes works, but most of the time it does not. Use the data to come up with your plan. Picture a small plane. It's flying over the Atlantic Ocean. And halfway across, the captain comes across and says, I've got some bad news and I've got some good news. The bad news is that the gauges aren't working anymore and we are hopelessly lost. I have no idea how fast we're going or in what direction. And I don't know how much fuel we have left. But the good news is this: we are making great time. If you don't know where you're going, it really doesn't matter what you measure. You can have all those gauges show you whatever they need to show you, but if you're not strategically thinking about where you're going and who you're trying to reach, then why are you measuring the things that you're measuring? Numbers, they cut through that murky, subjective communication between managers and direct reports. Secondly, numbers can create accountability for your entire team. Third, accountable people appreciate numbers. They actually like numbers. Fourth, numbers create clarity and commitment. 5, numbers create competition. You may not think you want competition, but it's actually a good thing if you do it the right way. 6, numbers produce results. If you put a number out there, you're actually going to see results. 7, numbers create teamwork. Everyone gets on the same page and works towards what you're actually trying to accomplish. And 8, you solve problems faster if you know what numbers you're actually trying to measure. In the church world, it's interesting because you'll ask pastors, what do you measure? And they're probably going to say, if they're honest, we measure giving, we measure attendance, we measure life group attendance, we measure salvations, and we measure baptisms. That's what every church seems to do. Those numbers don't really tell you what you need to know. Those are the kind of numbers that can actually make you go insane, because you're always looking at those numbers going, what do we do? Instead of tracking things that are actually moving you towards your real goals, your month, your 3-month, your year, your big rocks. For example, in the church world, I would say it like this. Track the weekly numbers that bring those far from God to leaders in your ministry. How are you going to measure that? How are you connecting to your community? Measure that. How are you connecting people to Jesus? Like connecting them to Jesus, not just salvation numbers, but connecting people to Jesus. Measure that. How effective is your discipleship? What is your leadership development program, and how successful are you? How are you empowering people into leadership roles? How many church planters, missionaries, or pastors have you launched in the last year? I call this answering the 8 questions. What are your core values? That's the first question you always want to know. Less is more, by the way, with that. They define your culture and who you are, and when they are clear, they will attract like-minded people into what you're doing. They weed out the wrong people. Once they're defined, then you'll hire and you'll fire and you'll review people based on it. You'll reward and you'll recognize people based on the core values of what you're launching. The second thing is, what is your core focus? And don't get distracted by that shiny object that another church is doing and it seems like it's going so well, and so you try to add that, and then you see something else and you try and add that. No, what you want to do is, all right, I know my data. I know what I measure. So stay focused on your core, why your organization exists. What is the purpose, the cause, the passion? What's your organization's unique niche? Do the one thing that's unique about your ministry and do it better than anyone else. See, growth can mean different things to different organizations. It's all about what's that core of who you are. Third, what's your 10-year target? So sometimes you got to go big and go way out there. Where do you want your organization to be a decade from now? Organizations that have endured for decades, they share a very common practice. They set massive 10 to 25-year goals. You will know the right goal when it starts to be so big that it creates passion and excitement and energy for every person on the team. Everyone gets excited going, wow, that's where we're going to be in 10 years or 25 years. Everyone begins talking about it. Fourth, what's your marketing strategy? If you try to please everyone, then you will lose. You will not be successful. You have to be laser focused in marketing. Stop being all things to all people. When you talk about evangelism strategy and you're trying to reach people, who is it that you're trying to attract? Who is that target market? Make a list of exactly who they are. Who are they? What do they think? What do they need? What do they appreciate? Where are they in geographic terms? The characteristics of the people and where they live. What are they all about? What's the industry, the job titles, the family sizes, the age, the sex, the income, all of it. You want to know all of that as you're thinking about this evangelism strategy. Fifth, what's your 3-year picture? Don't overthink this. You're painting a picture of a destination. You're not discussing every obstacle along the way. It's always going to be challenging, but start with numbers that are the easiest to get to. See if everyone's on the same page, like we want to get to this number, paint a picture of what that will look like, and see if you can actually accomplish that. 3 years from now, we want to do this. Then, number 6, what's your 1-year plan? Less is always more. Most companies make this mistake of trying to accomplish too many objectives every year. If everything is important, then nothing is important. Decide on those 3 to 7 most important priorities that must be completed this year in order for you to be on track for your 3-year goal, and then put that in this picture of 1 year. An outsider should be able to read this goal and know exactly what it means. Does your budget support these goals? All right, now that you have that, you can go to number 7, what are your quarterly rocks? Once your 1-year plan is clear, you need to narrow your vision all the way down to what really matters. Determine what are the most important priorities to accomplish in the next quarter. Number 8, what are your issues? You see, there's always going to be obstacles that could prevent you from reaching your targets. We all come across these obstacles. Your leadership team should be able to state them openly and honestly so that it can be brought forward together and you can get through them, get them out of your head into the meeting or out in writing in some way, and ask your team to say, all right, all the obstacles, the concerns, the opportunities, if you will, that we have to face right now in order to achieve our actual quarterly vision that turns into our year vision, that turns into our 3-year vision. You may have heard this illustration before. It's about putting the big rocks into the bowl first, or the pitcher or the cup, whatever it is that you're doing here. If you don't put those big rocks in, then you'll fill that up with the pebbles, the sand, the water, all the daily stuff, the emails, and those things that distract you. If you don't take the time to go, here's the big rocks. They go in first. This is what we're trying to accomplish. This is our evangelism strategy of who we're trying to reach. This is the data. This is what we measure. This will move you so that when all the little stuff comes, it doesn't get in the way of the big rocks. So take some time with this. There was a lot of information. You may have to back up, pause, write these things down, but I can't wait to talk to you about your evangelism strategy with what you're launching. This is so important. Know your data and know how you're going to reach them. Can't wait to talk to you about it. Next time we'll be talking about F, and that's your follow-up plan. Can't wait. See you next time.